I'm Ben Meiselas from Legal AF, joined by my co-host Karen Friedman. Agnifilo, we're here to talk about the breaking news that Donald Trump's co-defendant, the case brought by special counsel Jack Smith against Donald Trump, his co-defendant who we're going to be talking about today, Walt Nauta, for the willful retention of national defense information, obstruction of justice, making false statements, and conspiracy. Well, Walt Nauta had his arraignment scheduled today on June 27th. It was already continued from the date of the prior arraignment, which was on June 13th, because Walt Nauta represented then to the duty magistrate judge during the arraignment when Donald Trump was arraigned, Magistrate Judge Goodman, that he cannot find a Florida lawyer, and he was only being represented by Stanley Woodward, who was not licensed to practice law. So they needed in Florida, licensed to practice law in other states. So they needed to find a Florida lawyer. So the magistrate judge during the Trump arraignment continued the arraignment of Walt Nauta to June 27th of 2023. That was scheduled for today, but Walt Nauta didn't show up. So Karen Friedman Agnifilo, he didn't show up. It's getting delayed again. Starts seeming like a pattern that we're seeing here. Nauta claims he had a fee dispute with the lawyer, and he also claimed that the dog ate his homework. I mean, he couldn't catch a flight in time to make his arraignment. Something's going on here. What's up?
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, he was stuck at Newark Airport for 8 hours. But if I remember correctly, Ben, I thought he didn't have to appear in person. I thought he could have appeared via video feed that was set on June 13th. Am I wrong about that? Do you remember that?
I think the intention was that he be there either in person, or I assume the next best thing would be via video conference. But regardless, he did neither and said that he was unavailable for either.
I'm just saying, because in criminal cases, this guy's been given a lot of accommodations. Okay, in a criminal case, any other defendant, any other judge would have said, "Get on the video feed. I'm sorry that you're stuck in the airport, but get on video. I told you could appear either way, and so you have to appear." So I find they're being a little bit extra cautious with him. And yeah, it's being reported that he's had a fee dispute with a lawyer. He couldn't find a Florida lawyer, but again, any other criminal case, typically a judge would say, fine, I'm going to appoint a federal defender in the interim. I'm going to appoint someone for arraignment, and we are going to get you arraigned because I don't want this case to be delayed. And look, at the end of the day, we know that Trump's entire tactic is to try and delay this and every other case because he doesn't want them to go to trial, because delay is his number one legal tactic. And so I just think that, and it's being reported too, we're hearing that Trump has to approve of the lawyer. Trump's super PAC is going to pay for the lawyer. They don't want someone who's ever been a prosecutor. So there's all these rules, they're only paying a certain amount. And so, they're having a hard time finding someone, but guess what? There's a lot of lawyers. So I don't know why they're having such a hard time. But as I said, if this was a normal criminal case, the magistrate judge would appoint a federal defender, and he'd say, get on a video feed right now, and we're going to arraign you, and then we'll adjourn it for you to hire the lawyer of Trump's choice. But this was put over till July 6th, and we'll see, if he finally gets a lawyer by then or makes it to Florida.
Just I'll remind everybody who Walt Nauta is. He worked at the White House for Donald Trump called him a body man or a valet. He would basically grab every time Donald Trump would ask for a Diet Coke or whatever Trump would do, he would bring the Diet Coke to Donald Trump. He would be the gopher and get Donald Trump stuff. He then went to Mar-a-Lago, worked with Donald Trump there. Walt Nauta was the individual who was found on surveillance footage that was subpoenaed by the Department of Justice before and after the search warrant was ultimately executed on August 8th of 2022. Walt Nauta was seen moving the boxes that contained classified information. We also know that Walt Nauta very much knew specifically what was in the boxes, that he was not allowed to look into those boxes. He didn't have the clearances to look into those boxes because in the indictment, we see the text messages and photographs that were taken by Walt Nauta that was sent to other employees at the Trump organization, that was sent to family members of Donald Trump, where he knew exactly what he was doing. In fact, Walt Nauta was moving classified records the day before the Department of Justice top counterintelligence official, Jay Bratt, showed up at Mar-a-Lago in response to the subpoena on June 3rd of 2022. So on June 2nd, 2022, you see Walt Nauta on their surveillance footage moving boxes around and essentially trying to hide it, not just from the Department of Justice, but from Donald Trump's own lawyers as well. People like Evan Corcoran, who was representing Donald Trump, who then executed an attestation for the Department of Justice, testifying stating under penalty of perjury they were turning everything over. Meanwhile, Walt Nauta, kind of like a carnival game, was moving these boxes and putting them in other places when Evan Corcoran wasn't looking at it. When the Department of Justice first spoke to Evan Corcoran, Corcoran lied, said that he knew nothing about these boxes, didn't touch these boxes. Then they subpoenaed their surveillance footage and they saw Evan Corcoran. He then changed his tune and admitted that he was moving the boxes. And then ultimately he, likely at the advice of his lawyer, who is paid for by Donald Trump, Stanley Woodward, stopped cooperating with the Department of Justice, then stopped cooperating with special counsel Jack Smith. And ultimately, as we say, everything that Donald Trump touches goes to, I guess, prison. Here, Walt Nauta, based on his conspiracy with Donald Trump, obstruction of justice, and the withholding of national defense information, Walt Nauta is facing a very, very, very serious and stiff criminal penalties. And so Stanley Woodward, someone who's Trump's political action committees pay for, not licensed to practice law in Florida. But to your point, Karen, I mean, you have this arraignment that was now 2-3 weeks ago of Donald Trump. Walt Nauta doesn't have a lawyer there. And the magistrate judge at that point gave Nauta the benefit of the doubt. I'm with like, okay, well, lawyer up, get a public defender, get somebody. Like, you're being arraigned. This isn't, like isn't a cruise ship. Like this isn't a game. So they gave Walt Nauta until June 27th, 2023. He was going to be arraigned then. And Walt Nauta doesn't show up. You got Stanley Woodward, who's not even licensed to practice law there, basically telling the judge, it's a different magistrate judge today. It was Judge Edwin Torres. Judge, we couldn't find a lawyer, and there was a fee dispute. And Walt Nauta, he couldn't even catch the flight. He couldn't even make it. A lot of games. Seems intentional, seems intended to delay. We're reading all of these reports that Trump is terrified that Nauta is going to flip on him. You see Trump keeping Nauta like very close to him.
Well, is Trump at Bedminster right now?
Trump was giving a speech in New Hampshire and Bedminster. So it seems that Nauta was probably around Trump traveling with him.
Right, because he got stuck in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's my question. So Nauta was stuck in New Jersey yesterday to get to Florida. So that I ask, he must be with Trump. So Trump must be at Bedminster in New Jersey, right? I mean, that makes
Trump. Yeah, Trump's has been on the East Coast. He's been given a number of speeches. Over the weekend, he gave a speech in D.C. Today, he gave a speech in New Hampshire. But that means his home base is New Jersey, Bedminster, which means that Nauta's there.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, and it also shows that Nauta is not really taking this seriously. Like, who leaves the day before, when there's thunderstorms on the East Coast and flights are getting canceled? Who leaves just the day before to leave it up to chance that you're going to make it to your criminal arraignment? I mean, he's just, and he he didn't get a lawyer in time. He doesn't leave in time knowing that, it could be an issue to get there. He's just not taking it seriously. He really isn't. And the judge, the magistrate judge, unfortunately, is, I think giving him some leeway. So hopefully they will. Jack Smith is setting the tone here. He's sort of saying, he's rising to the occasion. It's like, okay, Eileen Cannon, you set an August date, challenge accepted. We can't do August, but let's do December. And here's all the discovery. Here's everything in the case. And we're going to fast track security clearances. We'll have it within 40 days. And we're going to spoon feed all of the evidence for you, defendants, so that you see exactly what, not just, the mountains of video and evidence. We're going to say, go to this exact part of the tape, and this is what we're going to use. And this is, they're doing everything. Jack Smith is literally saying challenge accepted, fast trial. We're going to do a fast trial. And here's Trump and Nauta trying to slow it down by playing these games and not taking this seriously. Because look, every week that they get a delay, every 2 weeks that they get a delay, that adds up, right? That could now equal, if they get 2 or 3 of those, that could equal months. And then, and then problems start happening because you start getting into all of the other things that we keep talking about. So I think that's what's going on here. He's so clearly, this close to Donald Trump in his New Jersey, home, and they're side by side in their trial tactic to try and delay.
The latest hearing date set by Judge Eileen Cannon is July 14th, where it's a status conference on CIPA related procedures, the Classified Information Procedure Act. That was one of the things last Friday that Special Counsel Jack Smith called for. So I think Special Counsel Jack Smith and his team of prosecutors, they were okay with this one last continuance for the arraignment, provided that the new arraignment date would be set before the July 14th hearing date by Judge Eileen Cannon. Because the reality is that wouldn't slow anything down, provided it took place in that time period. And Judge Edwin Torres, the magistrate judge, got the message and set the new arraignment date for July 6th. So that will be before the CIPA hearing. And I think we should all pay attention to that date, though. It's right around the corner. So it's not like it's being kicked that far in advance. But I think this will start becoming a pattern. Special Counsel Jack Smith's ready for it. We're ready for it. Final words, Karen.
Hopefully he'll make it next week, July 6th. He'll have a speedy arraignment, and he'll have a lawyer who won't then say, now I need time to get up to speed because I was just hired. And, that's my concern here. I just want everyone to keep their eye on this delay tactic, because this is what they do. And criminal cases are different than civil cases. You can't do this in a criminal case, and you especially can't do it in a case like this. So, everybody has to hold their feet to the fire.
We will certainly be doing our part here on Legal AF and the MeidasTouch Network. Thank you all for watching. Hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. And make sure you're subscribed to the Legal AF audio podcast. Wherever you get podcasts, just search Legal AF. A new midweek Legal AF drops every Wednesday. A weekend edition drops every Saturday. But listen to it at your leisure. Always great doing these breaking news hits with you, Karen, Friedman, Agnifilo. We'll see you all next time on Legal AF Breaking News and on the Legal AF podcast. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.